Hello, today I'm going to be talking about digitizing manuscripts. Digitizing refers to the conversion of an item, be it a printed text, manuscript, image or sound, film, or video recording, from one format, which is usually print, into a digital format. This process is basically involving taking a physical object and making an electric photograph of it. A manuscript is a written or typewritten composition or document as distinguished from a printed copy. So, we are going to be looking at the process of taking something that is handwritten or typewritten and made into a digital copy. The first part of the process is that the basic metadata for the manuscripts that you're digitizing needs to be put into the system. This allows the digital library to stay in order. It makes it easier to file things, to look things up later on. The main component that you need is a scanner that is made specifically for fragile or rare materials. This is necessary if you're working with older documents or specifically handwritten documents. It's much easier and better if the scanner that you're using is made for those things. So, manuscript digitization is essentially a photographic process. The technician photographs the pages of the manuscript using a digital single lens camera or a scanner, as I said before. The photographs are then, they directly go into a computer where they are fed into optical character recognition or OCR software. This software breaks down the text blocks into lines or into an individual character, such as a letter in the alphabet, in terms of handwritten manuscripts or letters. I'm pretty sure that someone else in this class is doing their presentation on this topic, so they will go much further in detail into that. Sometimes handwritten manuscripts are too difficult for the software to decipher if they're in cursive or the letters run really close together or it's in like old Latin, something like that. It can be much harder to decipher, and they may need to be done or transcribed manually, which can be very labor intensive and cost prohibitive. So, a lot of libraries don't have the resources to do that. So, they have to decide if what they are going to be digitizing is worth the extra effort. Adobe Acrobat, Photoshop, and InDesign are software programs from Adobe that are needed in order to adjust the photograph after it is taken. You would use this for adjusting the resolution, dimming the lighting, brightening, rotation if you need to rotate, cropping, something like that, of the photographs. If you're using a camera, you do need to be very conscious of the lighting that you're using, especially if you are using especially if you are digitizing a manuscript that is very old. You just want to make sure that the light you're using isn't damaging to the material that you're working with. Also, if you're using lighting that is too dim, you're not going to get the resolution that you want. So your photograph might come out hazy. This technology has so many practical uses inside of a digital library. There are numerous digital libraries, like the New York Public Library, that has a digital collection called the Early American Manuscripts Project, which is solely digitized manuscripts. And then, like the Boston Public Library has an anti-slavery manuscript collection, which is just digitized manuscripts. Digitizing manuscripts truly allows people from all across the world to be able to gain access to the same materials. This is so important when like trying to share resources. A lot of manuscripts are also too old and too fragile to be held by the general public, which makes it difficult for people to actually be able to see these manuscripts and the information that they hold. So digitizing them allows for you to zoom in, zoom out, see the tiny little pen marks or like whatever little notes that are left on these pages that they otherwise would never be able to see because they wouldn't be able to see them. Digitizing these resources also allows for researchers to be able to use these documents from other libraries instead of having to be so limited in like their immediate location and finding resources. Especially with how our lives are right now and not being able to physically go into a lot of libraries, actually having access to materials like this is such a savior for a lot of people. We can also think about it in terms of like a museum. People who are art history students or art students or just people who enjoy culture like that, they have access to these documents, so which will help them like if they're studying something, but it will also like help them get like a little bit of like happiness or like peace of mind from like delving into something that they love. Also, having these things readily available online will help get so much more online traffic for like a small town library, also for big cities, but big city libraries are used very widely. Like the BPL has specifically electronic only library cards, so there's that. But for like libraries that maybe not as well known, this will allow them to get much more traction and get their name out there and just become a more widely used resource. Thank you so much for listening to my presentation on digitizing manuscripts. Please leave your comments.